and welcome to Sinister Signal. You've made a terrible mistake tonight. You've tuned in. You're here. And now it sees you. There are things in the dark, hidden in the corners of your room, behind the closet door, inside the walls. But the worst ones, they don't just watch, they wait. Tonight, we bring you a story that may keep you awake long after the video ends. A story of something that watches from the shadows, waits in the vents, and whispers your name when you're all alone. So, lock your doors, close your windows, but whatever you do, don't look into the vent. The first time I heard the scratching, I thought it was just the house settling. I had just moved into a cheap one-bedroom apartment in a decaying but otherwise decent part of town. The building had a strange, almost suffocating smell, like old paper, rust, and something sour, but the rent was low, and I wasn't about to ask questions. The first night, I lay awake, getting used to my new place, when I heard it. A faint, deliberate scratching sound coming from the air vent above my bed. I turned on my bedside lamp and squinted at the vent. The metal slats stared back at me, unmoving. The noise had stopped. It was probably just mice, I told myself. Old buildings have pests. But as I switched off the lamp and turned over, I felt it. A presence. A heavy, unseen weight in the darkness, watching me. The scratching continued for the next few nights, always between 2 and 3 a.m. Then came the whispers. At first, I thought I was imagining it, soft, almost inaudible breaths seeping through the vents. But the longer I listened, the clearer they became. A voice, low, raspy, too close. She can't see me. She doesn't know yet. The words sent ice down my spine. I bolted out of bed, grabbing my phone to record, but as soon as I turned on the light, the voice vanished. The only sound left was my own ragged breathing. The next morning, I called my landlord, Mrs. Garza, an elderly woman who had lived in the building for decades. When I told her about the noises, she gave me a tired, almost knowing look. Ah, the vents. Yeah, we get complaints sometimes. It's just the old pipes. Pipes don't whisper. A week passed. The whispers became more frequent. One night, as I lay in bed staring at the vent, I felt something. The temperature in my room dropped suddenly, and the air became thick, heavy, like something was breathing the same air as me. Then I saw it. Something shifted behind the slats. A dark, shadowy movement, too big for a rat. I grabbed my phone, turned on the flashlight, and aimed it at the vent. A single, bloodshot eye stared back at me. I screamed and scrambled out of bed. My phone slipped from my hands as I fumbled for something, anything, to defend myself. By the time I looked back up, the eye was gone. The room was dead silent. I didn't sleep that night. I decided to investigate. I pushed my dresser under the vent and climbed up, prying off the rusted cover. A blast of cold, damp air hit my face. The vent was larger than I expected, not just an air duct, but a crawl space, big enough for a person to move through. I reached in, my fingers brushing against something soft, a scrap of fabric, a piece of a tattered shirt. I yanked my hand back. My heart was hammering so hard I thought I might pass out. Someone had been in there. Someone was still in there. That night, I kept my light on and stayed up, waiting. At exactly 2:13 a.m., I heard it. A thud. Then, the sound of something crawling through the vents. The metal creaked under the weight of whatever was inside. And then, the whispering. She knows. She knows. She knows. My blood ran cold. The sound moved from the vent above my bed to the wall behind me. Then, a soft knock on the other side of my bedroom wall. I shot out of bed, grabbed my keys, and ran. I slept in my car. The next morning, I confronted Mrs. Garza. "There's someone in the vents," I said, my voice shaking. "I saw them." She sighed, rubbing her temples. "Look, honey, we had a tenant go missing a few months back. A young man. Police thought he ran off, but..." She hesitated. I waited. "But some people say he never left." I felt sick. She handed me an old maintenance report. It listed complaints from the previous tenant in my unit: scratching noises, whispers, missing food. Scrawled at the bottom were 4 chilling words: "Something is in here." I went back to my apartment one last time to pack my things. I kept the door wide open and moved fast. But as I grabbed my suitcase, I saw something that made my stomach drop. The vent was open. The metal slats were bent, hanging loosely, and on the floor beneath it, a trail of footprints. Bare, human feet. They led from the vent to my closet. A shudder racked through my body as I stepped toward it, every instinct screaming at me to run. I lifted a shaking hand and yanked the door open. A man was crouched inside. His skin was pale and sickly, his eyes bulging and bloodshot, his mouth twisted into a grotesque grin, and in his hand he held a jagged piece of metal. My breath caught in my throat. He took a slow, shuddering breath and then whispered, "I finally found you." I don't remember screaming. I don't remember how I got out, but I do remember running down the hallway, my heart slamming against my ribs. I burst out of the building and didn't stop running until I reached my car. The police searched the apartment. They found nothing. No footprints. No sign of forced entry. The vents were empty. Except one officer found a hole carved into the back of my closet. A small tunnel leading into the ventilation system. Inside, they found a nest of blankets, rotting food, and photographs. Pictures of me. taken through the vent above my bed. I never went back. I don't know what happened to the man in the walls, but sometimes at night, when I'm alone in my new apartment, I hear it. A faint scratching and a whisper just beyond the vents. I finally found you.